What's the deal, people? It's your boy Jay. Hey, we're about to get into this documentary about the hot boys from down in Louisiana. Uh, I ain't watched it. We're gonna watch it together. But like always, the link to the original video is down in the description if you want to watch it without me. But what would you do that for when you can watch it with me, baby? And anyway, y'all make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Remember, we always in this together, so let's run it up and get these numbers up. All right. Other than that, I ain't even gonna hold y'all, man. We're gonna jump right into it.
You're watching the Hot Boy story. Sit back and relax. The Hot Boys is a legendary hardcore rap group that was formed in 1997 in New Orleans, Louisiana. The group consists of Juvenile, Young Turk, Lil Wayne and BG. In the late 90s, the Hot Boys took over the down south rap scene. They released 3 studio albums and sold over 3 million records. The group influenced many people to sport gold teeth, bandanas, wear long white t-shirts, and even get a lot of tattoos. In New Orleans, using the Hot Boys name was a big deal. Some may even say that it was dangerous. People from New Orleans knew what the name represented. The rest of the world definition of a hot boy was a loud drug dealer who attracted attention from cops, stick-up kids and women. But in New Orleans at the time, when people heard the name Hot Boys, they thought of the vicious street crew from the Magnolia Projects. By 2001, the Hot Boys rap group was over. Juvenile, BG and Young Turk were all ready to part ways with Cash Money. A 19-year-old Lil Wayne was forced to carry the label on his back. For over 2 decades, fans been wishing for a Hot Boy reunion. Many believe that a new album by the Hot Boys would be huge for hip-hop. Turk, known as the wild and freaky member of the group. His rap style perfectly matches his personality. When the group first came onto the scene, Turk was many fans' favorite member. Juvenile was once known as the greatest MC in New Orleans. Back in the late 90s, Juvenile was Cash Money's best MC. His wordplay was incredible, and his soulful voice took over every song he recorded on. He's the soul of the group. BG is the heart of the group. In the beginning, he was even the star. Some say that BG is the most loved Cash Money artist ever. His lyrics and rap style are both pure and fearless. You can hear the honesty in his voice. Lil Wayne is now known as one of the greatest rappers in hip-hop history, selling over 200 million records in his 28-year career. Not only did Lil Wayne influence a generation of new rappers, he introduced the world to 2 of the biggest rappers in the game, Nicki Minaj and Drake. This is a dark and powerful story that must be told. Many people will be touched after watching this documentary. You're about to find out why the Hot Boys is one of the greatest rap groups of all time. This is their story. Christopher Dorsey, born September 3, 1980 in New Orleans, Louisiana. He was named after his father, Christopher Jasmine. Christopher Jasmine was a Navy seaman. He grew up the Magnolia Projects but managed to stay out of trouble. Jasmine didn't hang out in the streets like most of his friends. Him and his family were known to be righteous, God-fearing people. His father even owned a local church. Christopher's mother, Cynthia Dorsey, was born in Virginia. Her and her family moved to New Orleans when she was young. She met Jasmine through a friend when she was 18 years old. The two fell in love and Christopher was born shortly thereafter. Christopher grew up in the Freret neighborhood of uptown New Orleans. He often attended his grandfather's church and even became a deacon at an early age. Christopher and his father were very close. Unfortunately, by the time he was 10 years old, his parents were separated and his father had started a new family. Although Christopher and his father lived in different homes, the two remained close. On November 25, 1992, 33-year-old Christopher Jasmine was killed during an attempted robbery. A 12-year-old Christopher had just visited his father days before. This was a dark time for him and the family. He instantly began changing. By the summer of '93, he was known in the streets as Lil Doogie and was dealing drugs. Doogie was no longer going to school and church. He made a name for himself in the neighborhood by rapping. That same year he met Cash Money Records CEO Brian Williams, also known as Baby. A barber who worked at a nearby barbershop introduced a 12-year-old Doogie to Baby. Doogie rapped for Baby at the barbershop. Baby was impressed. He took Doogie home and had a talk with his mother Cynthia. Just like everyone else in the city, Cynthia heard about the Williams brothers. Although they were well-known drug dealers, Cynthia understood that they were doing something positive with Cash Money Records. She decided to let her son work with the independent label. This is when Doogie became a part of the Cash Money family. Cash Money Records was started in 1991 by Brian Baby Williams and his older brother Ronald Sugar Slim Williams. The two were allegedly big-time drug dealers at the time. Their father Johnny Williams was a very wealthy man. He owned a bar, a grocery store, a food truck, and he was a landlord who rented out several properties. Johnny was also a loan shark, number runner and gambler on the side. Altogether Johnny had 23 kids with several different women. Baby and Slim's mother Gladys Brooks ran a bar for Johnny on Saratoga Street in the early 70s. The family lived on top of a bar in a two-bedroom apartment. Johnny named the place Gladys Bar. It quickly became a popular spot in uptown of New Orleans. On January 21, 1975, Gladys died at the age 38. Days later, the kids were taken by the state of Louisiana. After spending time in foster homes and in Canada with their uncle, Baby and his siblings moved back in the apartment upstairs of Gladys Bar with their father Johnny after he had regained custody. Johnny was now in a serious relationship with a woman by the name of Patricia. Patricia already had 3 kids of her own. Her and Johnny would later get married. Patricia and her 3 kids moved in with Johnny and 3 of his kids. Her son Eldrick was Baby's age. The two instantly became close. Back then, Saratoga Street was a dangerous place to hang out. The fun never ended for Baby and Eldrick. After playing in the neighborhood all day, the two always came home to more action. Gladys Bar was a 24-hour spot. The bar attracted drug dealers, gamblers, prostitutes, junkies and many alcoholics in the neighborhood. One night after attending a wrestling event, Johnny, Patricia and the kids returned home. After putting the kids to bed, Johnny was shot downstairs in the bar during a robbery attempt. It was time for a change. Johnny moved him and his family into a nice home on Valence and Magnolia. Baby and his step-brother Eldrick continued running the streets. By the mid-80s they were dealing heroin and sticking up local drug dealers. Eldrick was known to be wild in the streets. Baby was the level-headed one out the two. He learned a lot from watching Johnny. While Baby and Eldrick ran the streets, Slim stayed under Johnny. At the time Slim had his own circle of friends. He didn't hang out with his younger brothers much. Baby and Eldrick were making hundreds thousands of dollars dealing drugs in the streets. According to Baby, he had over $1 million at the age 15. Not only did Baby sell heroin, he sold pot, cocaine and crack as well. He flooded multiple neighborhoods with drugs. Baby had family in every neighborhood in uptown New Orleans. He was known and respected throughout the city. Even though Baby and his crew were making a lot of money in the streets, they still attended school. In the 10th grade Baby owned 10 vehicles. While other students carried backpacks, he carried a briefcase. Baby took school serious and was even good at sports. Before dealing drugs, Baby had dreams to play football in the NFL. He dropped out his senior year when the school didn't let him play on the football team due to his grades. Slim on the other hand had dropped out in the 7th grade. In 1988, Baby and Eldrick gets arrested together twice in 1 week on drug-related charges. They end up serving almost 2 years in prison. When they were released in 1990, the two jumped right back in the streets. This time they were even making more money. Unfortunately, Eldrick was shot and killed in the summer of '91. Losing Eldrick was tough for the family. Baby didn't want to lose his life in the streets like his stepbrother. Him and Slim decided to start an independent record label. Inspired by the 1991 film New Jack City, Baby and Slim named the label Cash Money Records. The first artist they signed was 15-year-old Kilo G. In 1992 they released Kilo G's debut album Sleepwalker. The album only sold a few thousand copies, but it opened the door for Cash Money Records. The Williams brothers then signed Lil Slim, UNLV, Mr. Ivan, Project's Most Wanted, Miss T and Pimp Daddy to the label. Cash Money Records was becoming the biggest independent record label in Louisiana. The 13-year-old Lil Doogie was happy to be a part of the Cash Money family. He began living with both Baby and Slim. They became father figures in his life. Doogie had more fun living with Baby than he did living with Slim. Slim didn't party every night like his brother. He kept his home calm and peaceful. There was always action at Baby's house, so Doogie spent more time there. Him and Baby became very close. It wouldn't be long before Doogie began looking at Baby as a father. In 1993, Cash Money Records took over the underground music scene in New Orleans. Baby met producer DJ Manny Fresh at a block party in the Cali Oak Projects. That same year, Manny Fresh became Cash Money Records' in-house producer. Manny Fresh grew up in the 7th Ward of New Orleans. His father, DJ Savvy, was a well-known DJ in the city. He played at block parties, cookouts and nightclubs. Manny was inspired by his father to be a DJ. In 1984, Manny Fresh became a DJ for New Orleans hip-hop crew New York Incorporated. Manny learned how to use an 808 drum machine and became one of the founders of bounce music in the late 80s. He teamed up with a New Orleans MC by the name of Gregory D and began recording music. Manny Fresh did all of the producing and Gregory D did the rapping. Gregory D and DJ Manny Fresh released 3 albums together before splitting up in '93. Around this time, the #1 hip-hop sound in New Orleans was bounce. Cash Money started off as a bounce music record label. Baby was introduced to a local rap group by the name of UNLV, short for Uptown N's Living Violent. UNLV mixed bounce with hardcore gangster rap. The group signed a deal with Cash Money and began recording their debut album Sixth and Baron. That same year, Lil Slim introduced Baby to an 11-year-old rapper who went by the name of Baby D, real name Dwayne Carter. Lil Slim and Baby D were from the same block. Baby D was one of the best young rappers in the neighborhood. Not only was he a young gangster rapper, he wrote his own lyrics as well. On May 13, 1993, Baby D meets Baby at a record store. After rapping for Baby in the record store, Baby gives Baby D a Cash Money Records business card. For over a whole year, Baby D called Cash Money Records office every day. Baby would eventually invite him to the office. Baby D and Lil Doogie began recording songs together. Baby decided to make the two a duo. They went by the name the BGs, short for Baby Gangsters. Baby D was 12 and Lil Doogie was 14 at the time. The two became good friends. Before the duo's album was released, Baby D nearly loses his life. One day after coming home from skipping school, Baby D gets a phone call from his aunt. His aunt warned him that his mother Jacita found out that he had been skipping school. Baby D panicked. He knew that his mother would punish him by taking away his privilege to rap with Cash Money. This made Baby D get a handgun from out of his mother's bedroom. He then calls the police and shoots himself in the chest while looking in the mirror. The police quickly arrived and kicked the front door off the hinges. Baby D was rushed to the hospital and underwent surgery. He was placed on life support for 2 weeks. When Baby D was released from the hospital, Jacita made him stay away from Baby and Cash Money Records. From the beginning, Jacita didn't want her son to be around Baby due to his criminal history. She always thought that Baby was trouble. Her boyfriend Reginald McDonald, also known as Rabbit, had to talk her into letting Baby D work with Cash Money. Baby D began calling Rabbit his father. The two became closer after Baby D shot himself. Rabbit was a young hustler. Baby D seen and learned a lot from watching his stepfather. At the age 13, Baby D was on the block dealing drugs with his friends. He never gave up on his rap dreams. He continued perfecting his craft. 1995 was a decent year for Cash Money Records. They released 6 albums. Altogether they sold over 100,000 records independently. At the time, the biggest artists Cash Money had was the hardcore gangster rap bounce group UNLV. Their third album Mac Melf Kaleo is considered a classic in Louisiana. UNLV was comprised of Tech Nine, Lilia and Yellow Boy. The group became very popular in Louisiana in the mid-90s. Their fanbase made Cash Money Records even bigger. A 20-year-old Yellow Boy became the group's star. Many believed that he would be the future of Cash Money. A 15-year-old Doogie was now addicted to heroin. Baby and Slim were both upset when they found out. After the minor success of the Bee Gees' A True Story album, Lil Doogie changed his rap name to the BG to keep the previous fanbase growing. Not only was Doogie abusing and selling drugs, he was playing with guns around this time as well. According to Doogie, he caught his first body at the age 15. In 1996, UNLV took Cash Money Records to another level with their fourth and final album, with a label titled Uptown for Life. At the time, the group was feuding with Mystical after he dissed them on the track Y'all Ain't Ready Yet from his debut album titled Mystical. Mystical was signed to one of the biggest independent labels in New Orleans. Big Boy Records was Cash Money's only competition in the city at the time. After Mystical's album sold 300,000 copies independently, Jive Records signed Mystical and re-released the album in 1995, renaming it The Mind of Mystical. UNLV won the rap battle with a diss song Drag M in the River from the Uptown for Life album. This became Cash Money's most successful album at the time. It peaked at 86 on the Billboard R&B Hip Hop Albums chart and sold over 200,000 copies independently. Tension between Baby and UNLV started right before the release of Uptown for Life album. Baby and Yellow Boy had been bumping heads for a while. In the summer of '96, Baby and Slim decided to shoot a music video for the Uptown for Life song to promote the album. On the day of the video shoot, everyone showed up but UNLV. The group arrived an hour later and this made Baby and Slim upset. They get into a heated argument with Yellow Boy. Baby and Slim then cancels the video shoot. This only made the situation worse. While driving back home, Lilia and Tech Nine talk Yellow Boy into fighting the boss. Lilia calls Baby and tell him that Yellow Boy want to fight him. Minutes later, Baby pulls up to Yellow Boy's house along with Manny Fresh, Doogie and Slim. Baby hops out of the car wearing a tank top prepared to fight. Baby and Yellow Boy began trading punches. Yellow Boy gets the best of Baby, forcing Slim to jump in the fight. Tech Nine allegedly knocked Slim out cold. Baby stopped fighting and helped Slim back to the car. Manny Fresh and Doogie follows them. They all gets in the car and quickly pull off. After the fight, Baby and Yellow Boy maintained a business relationship. According to Lilia, it became uncomfortable for UNLV and the Williams brothers to be around each other. Baby and Slim were allegedly planning to drop the group from the label. Not only were they tired of dealing with Yellow Boy's disrespectful behavior, they were also tired of the group complaining and asking for more money. Baby and Slim continued searching for new talent. Miss T, Lil Slim, Kilo G, PMW and Mr. Ivan were no longer signed to Cash Money Records. Pimp Daddy was killed in '94 and UNLV was on the way out the door. A 16-year-old BG formerly known as Lil Doogie became the label's star. His album Chopper City was just as big as UNLV's Uptown for Life album. Chopper City ended up selling over 100,000 copies and is now considered a classic. While working on the Chopper City album, Baby and Slim meets 21-year-old Tyrius Gray, also known as Juvenile. Juvenile grew up in the Magnolia Projects. In the early 90s, Juvenile became known as the best MC in the Magnolia Projects. At the time, Juvenile was only making bounce music. After rapping at several parties, Juvenile hooks up with bounce legend DJ Jimmy and became his ghostwriter. Most of the songs on DJ Jimmy's debut album It's Jimmy were written by a teenage Juvenile. Some even consider Juvenile the real king of bounce music due to him writing one of the biggest bounce songs ever called Where They At by DJ Jimmy. Where They At was an instant classic in New Orleans. Bounce for the Juvenile was another classic bounce song from DJ Jimmy's debut album. The song was written and performed by Juvenile. It later landed him an album deal with Warlock Records. The following year, a guy from the St. Thomas Projects by the name of DJ Jubilee took over the bounce scene. His 1993 regional hit Do the Jubilee All became the biggest bounce song at this point. DJ Jubilee invented the word twerking in the song. Not only do he uses the word twerking, the man gives instructions how to twerk. DJ Jubilee is one of the reasons bounce music was later dominated by females and the LGBTQ community. In the early and mid-90s, women were being disrespected in a lot of bounce songs. DJ Jubilee made fun family music. He took bounce music to another level, that's why many consider him the king of bounce. In 1994, Juvenile signed an album deal with Warlock Records. His debut album Being Myself was released in February of '95. The album didn't sell many copies, but it built Juvenile a small fanbase in Louisiana. By 1996, Juvenile was working a regular 9-to-5 job. One day on his way home from work, he was picked up from the bus stop by Baby and Slim. According to UNLV member Lilia, he picked up Juvenile from the bus stop and took him to the studio to meet Baby and Slim, which make a lot more sense. Juvenile raps for Baby and Slim. His soulful sound and brilliant lyrics made the brothers want to sign him to Cash Money Records. Juvenile told them that the only way he'd quit his job and sign to the label, Cash Money, would have to pay him $2,000 weekly. Baby and Slim would eventually agree to the deal and sign Juvenile to Cash Money Records. Baby and Yellow Boy continued bumping heads. In the winter of '96, the two gets into it once again. This time it was allegedly over a paycheck for Yellow Boy. When Lilia and Tech 9 went to pick up their paychecks from Baby and Slim, Yellow Boy asked them to pick up his as well. Baby refused to give them Yellow Boy's paycheck. This made Yellow Boy upset. He allegedly drove to Baby's house and shot it up. Baby and several others were inside the house during the shooting. Luckily no one was hurt. Yellow Boy even allegedly shot up one of Baby's vehicles before leaving. It's obvious that Baby was upset. Yellow Boy had went too far this time. Days later he get his paycheck from Cash Money Records. Insiders say that Yellow Boy never apologized to Baby for shooting up his house. The members of UNLV were all known to be wild. Especially Yellow Boy. He was well respected in the streets and even feared by some people. His heroin addiction kept him running the streets. UNLV was loved in New Orleans. They were on their way to the top. But Baby and Slim had other plans. Their focus were no longer on UNLV. Baby and Slim were building a new Cash Money. That same year Baby D rejoins Cash Money Records after his stepfather Rabbit was shot and killed. The 14-year-old now went by the name Lil Wayne. His mother Jacita decided to let him work with Cash Money as long as he don't use profanity in his lyrics. This is when Lil Wayne began spending more time with Baby and Slim. While working on Magnolia Shorty's debut album titled Monkey on the D, Baby and Slim hear about a 15-year-old rapper who lived in the Magnolia Projects. Tab Virgil Jr., also known as Young Turk, was a high school football player who loved to rap. Turk started off recording music with a local unknown rap group back in 1995. Turk and the group recorded diss songs about the Bee Gees to get Baby and Slim's attention. Magnolia Shorty introduced Turk to Baby and Slim at a Magnolia block party. Many of Cash Money artists attended the block party that day, including UNLV. Turk raps for Slim because Baby wasn't interested at the time. After hearing Turk rap, Slim gives him a business card and tell him to come to the studio. Turk began coming to the studio hanging out with BG, Juvenile and Wayne. In the beginning, Turk didn't know how to write songs correctly. He didn't understand the meaning of 16 bars. Each day Turk got better. He would eventually began using heroin with label mate BG. It wouldn't be long before Turk was addicted to the drug. He began using it every day. Sometimes he would even skip school to get high. To keep Baby and Slim from finding out about his habit, Turk would send one of his buddies to score bags of heroin in the Magnolia Projects. Unlike Lil Wayne and BG, Turk's father was still around and active in his life. Turk jumped off the porch at an early age. He was known as one of the bad kids in the Magnolia Projects. Around this time, Baby and Slim's sister Dorothy's son became a part of Cash Money Records. 15-year-old Derek Williams, also known as Bulletproof, was a young hustler from the St. Thomas Projects. Derek looked up to his uncle Baby. He began hanging out at the studio and writing rhymes with BG, Wayne, Juvenile and Turk. Baby and Slim kept their artists in the studio to keep them out of trouble, and Derek was still deep in the streets. Not only was he a drug dealer, he allegedly shot and robbed a lot of people as well. This the reason he never signed to Cash Money. Baby and Slim were ready to start a new hardcore rap group with Juvenile, BG, Lil Wayne, Young Turk and Derek as the 5 members. Thanks to Baby's younger brother Gangsta, they named the group the Hot Boys. In the beginning there were 5 members in the group. Juvenile was basically the leader due to his age and hip-hop knowledge. Like I said before, Juvenile was a true MC. He was the best rapper on Cash Money at the time. BG was the star of the group. He became huge in the city when Chopper City was released. Derek, Wayne and Turk were all basically new artists. This Hot Boys rap group was a big deal in New Orleans. Even before recording one song as the Hot Boys, people were talking about the group and couldn't wait to hear their music. Baby and Slim began focusing only on the Hot Boys. Members of UNLV knew that their cash money days were over. That meant no more beats from producer Manny Fresh. The Hot Boys was basically about to pick up where UNLV left off. This caused a little tension between the Hot Boys and UNLV. One time Turk hid from Yellow Boy when Yellow Boy had pulled up to his high school. A young Turk knew that Yellow Boy was violent. On April 5, 1997, 22-year-old Albert Thomas, also known as Yellow Boy, was shot and killed inside his vehicle in the Central City neighborhood of New Orleans. His murder remains unsolved. It was a sad day in New Orleans. Friends, family and fans all mourned Yellow Boy's death. UNLV became legendary. More people began buying their albums. Cash Money Records was now the biggest independent record label in New Orleans. This was the perfect time for the Hot Boys to release music. The Hot Boys attracted a lot of attention in New Orleans. That name held a lot of weight in the city. This was during the time the original Hot Boys were running the streets. Everyone in the city knew that Baby and Slim were affiliated with the original Hot Boys because Gangsta is their little brother. This made the Hot Boy rap group even more interesting. The original Hot Boys was started by Baby and Slim's younger brother Terrence Williams, also known as Gangsta. Gangsta grew up in the Gert Town neighborhood in New Orleans. Him and his family lived in a small two-bedroom house on Pine and Olive Street. Gangsta began getting into trouble at an early age. He started off burglarizing homes and stealing from nearby stores. By age 11, he was stealing cars with his friends. At the time, his big brothers Baby and Slim were both deep in the drug game. Gangsta would often see his brothers in the neighborhood. One day, a 17-year-old Baby allegedly come to the neighborhood to pick up 11-year-old Gangsta and take him to shoot a guy for robbing a female friend of his. According to Gangsta, this was the first time he had went on a hit. Gangsta looked up to Baby and Slim. He proved to them that he was ready for the streets. The older guy from the neighborhood talked Gangsta into playing football to keep him out of trouble. Gangsta began playing on a Pee-wee football team with future NFL player Patrick Surtain. It wouldn't be long before Gangsta quit the team and jumped back into the streets. He became good friends with John Bryant, later known as Mosquito, in the late 80s. Gangsta and Mosquito began hanging out in the Magnolia Projects. The Magnolia Projects was one of the largest housing projects in uptown New Orleans. Over 1,400 units and approximately over 3,000 people. By the late 80s, the projects was a goldmine for drug dealers in the neighborhood. A whole lot of violence began taking place. Gangsta and Mosquito both began dealing pot in the neighborhood, basically nickeling and diming. Mosquito was ready to make more cash, so he started dealing crack cocaine. This was in the beginning the crack era. Back then, even the brokest crack dealer made up to $1,000 a day. Mosquito began making a name for himself in the neighborhood. Him and Gangsta buy .22 caliber handguns for protection. It wouldn't be long before they used them. One day, Mosquito was almost robbed by a crack user. As him and the crack user were tussling, Gangsta walks up and fires a shot in the air. The crack user runs off. Gangsta and Mosquito names began ringing bells in the Magnolia Projects. At the time, a 15-year-old kid by the name of Sterling Lothan was feared by teenagers in the neighborhood. Sterling had a reputation for shooting and robbing people. Not long after Mosquito was almost robbed by the crack user, an older kid in the neighborhood tries to rob Mosquito without a weapon. Mosquito shoots the kid in the leg. The kid he shot was a friend of Sterling's. Mosquito and Gangsta expected Sterling to retaliate. One day while riding bicycles in the neighborhood, Gangsta and Mosquito runs into Sterling. Sterling questioned them about shooting his friend. After explaining what happened, Gangsta and Mosquito ride off their bicycles feeling proud. They stood up to one of the toughest kids in the projects. They were now respected in the neighborhood. Gangsta began hanging out with two well-known killers from the Magnolia Projects. Eric Maurice and Blackie Moe were two cousins who had a reputation for murdering people for money. The cousins took a liking to a 13-year-old Gangsta. When Eric and Blackie Moe stopped hanging out together, Gangsta became closer to Blackie Moe. Blackie Moe taught Gangsta a lot about the streets. Gangsta's second time putting in work was for Blackie Moe. By the time Gangsta was 14 years old, he was a stone-cold killer. He allegedly murdered 4 people in 1989. His best friend Mosquito began catching bodies as well. The two became feared in the neighborhood. By 1992, Gangsta allegedly had 14 or more bodies at the age of 17. In 1993, Gangsta served time in juvenile jail for attempted murder. While serving time, he became good friends with Sterling, Dooney and Killer Stone. Killer Stone ran the juvenile jail. All of the teenagers looked up to him. Not only was Killer Stone a good fighter, he was a big-time young hustler from the Magnolia Projects. Killer Stone is the person who gave Gangsta the nickname Lil Gangsta. By 1994, Gangsta, Mosquito, Sterling, Dooney and Killer Stone were all free. They all began hanging out together in the Magnolia Projects. One day, Gangsta came up with the idea to name the crew the Hot Boys. The name was perfect for the crew. In the beginning, the crew had over a dozen members. Every member name held weight in the streets. Not only were they killers and stick-up kids, the crew made a lot of money dealing heroin and cocaine. Killer Stone was allegedly a kingpin at an early age. He made sure every member in the crew had cash. Stephen Joseph, also known as Dooney, grew up in the Pigeon Town neighborhood. He moved to the Magnolia Projects when he was released from jail. Just like Gangsta, Sterling and Mosquito, Dooney was a stone-cold killer. Even before becoming a hot boy, he had several bodies under his belt. Him and Sterling became close friends. The two were together every day. Sterling was the most vicious one out of the bunch. He enjoyed robbing and killing people. At the age 13, he allegedly caught his first body in the Magnolia Projects. Many say that by the time Sterling was 18 years old, he had over 10 bodies. He even allegedly killed a guy just for looking at him. Gangsta, Mosquito, Sterling and Dooney had all robbed and murdered a lot of people. Wherever they went, death followed. It was dangerous hanging out with the Hot Boys. Even their females had to be careful when they came around. Many people wanted the Hot Boys dead. In 1994, the Hot Boys allegedly murdered over 20 people, and Gangsta was allegedly involved in 13 of those murders. During the Hot Boys killing spree, Baby meets Gangsta, Sterling, Dooney and Mosquito at a nearby car wash. Baby allegedly shows the Hot Boys around 50 kilos of dope that was stashed in the back of his station wagon and gives them a kilo apiece on consignment. Sterling and Dooney instantly thought about killing Baby and taking all his drugs. Gangsta quickly caught on to Sterling and Dooney and gave them a signal not to do it. Baby felt the tension and immediately got back into his car and pulled off. Little did the Hot Boys know, Baby had a dirty police officer who allegedly worked for him parked across the street watching his back. It's obvious that Baby and Slim didn't trust their baby brother. One day, Slim allegedly get Gangsta to count a lot of money for him and Baby. Gangsta counted a bag of money at Gladys Bar for hours. He got sleepy, went home and came back the next day to finish counting the money. When he was finished counting, a piece of paper with 500,000 written on it was at the bottom of the bag. Slim told Gangsta that it was a test to see if he would steal or try to have him robbed. He told Gangsta that he could have him killed for a lot less than 500 grand. Pretty much giving Gangsta a warning. 424 people were murdered in the streets of New Orleans in 1994. It was the highest murder rate in the world. Members of the Hot Boys were suspects for a lot of the unsolved murders that took place in uptown New Orleans. The crew was that vicious. Anytime someone was shot and killed in the city, the Hot Boys' name was brought up. On June 12, 1996, Sterling Lofton was killed in the Iberville Projects. He was allegedly shot in the back of the head 7 times. Gangsta was present when Sterling was killed. He watched his close friend take his last breath. Later that day, 4 Hot Boy members allegedly came back on motorcycles and shot up Iberville Projects, hitting an innocent little girl. They later found out that Sterling was killed by a guy named Skippa from the Melpomene Projects. Around this time, Dooney was serving time in prison. Sterling's death broke his heart. He pressured Gangsta to get revenge. Months later, Gangsta's best friend Mosquito was shot and killed in the Decalia Projects. He was shot over 20 times. One of the alleged shooters was Master P's cousin Randell Watts, also known as Calliope Slim. Back then, Watts ran the Calia Projects. Many say that he was a stone-cold killer. When Mosquito was killed, it started a war between the Magnolia and the Calia Projects. More bodies began dropping in the streets. Losing both Sterling and Mosquito was a huge loss for the Hot Boys. More members in the crew became active. A guy by the name of Elton, later known as Hot Bezo, was another top member of the Hot Boys. Elton allegedly put in a lot of work on the streets. Him and Gangsta became closer when Sterling and Mosquito was killed. In 1996, Gangsta allegedly murdered 6 more people. His body count was unbelievable at this point. So far, Gangsta allegedly had a total of 36 bodies at the age 21. His killing spree continued in 1997. After getting shot on 3 different occasions, wearing a colostomy bag for nearly 2 years, surviving a fatal stabbed wound and being arrested for murder multiple times, you would think the gangsta would have been tired of living the street life. But he wasn't done. Gangsta continued running wild. He allegedly murdered 5 or 6 more people that year. The Magnolia and the Calia projects war only got worse in 1997. Bodies continued dropping in the streets. Randall Watts was shot and killed in the Calia projects that year. He was shot over 18 times just like Hot Boy Mosquito was. People from the Calia projects blamed Gangsta for the murder. Master P even allegedly put a $100,000 hit out on Gangsta. Gangsta wasn't afraid. Instead of laying low, Gangsta began riding through the Calia projects looking for Master P. According to Gangsta, he wanted to kill Master P so that the $100,000 hit would no longer be out on him. Master P later gets the word that someone else murdered his cousin and Gangsta didn't have anything to do with it. The murder remains unsolved to this day. Around this time, Baby and Slim were in the middle of negotiating a distribution deal with Priority Records, the same major label who gave Master P a distribution deal. Master P allegedly told Priority not to do business with Cash Money Records due to the war that was taking place in the streets. Gangsta and other Hot Boy members would often travel with Cash Money Records to do shows. The artists performed at different venues in states such as Mississippi and Texas. When BG got too high after some shows, Gangsta would tell female groupies that he was BG to sleep with them. Not only did Gangsta traveled on the road with Cash Money Records to have fun, he even allegedly used a tour bus to transport kilos of heroin. Baby was upset when he found out that Gangsta was smuggling drugs. Gangsta gave Baby some money so he wouldn't tell Slim. Slim would have probably kicked Gangsta off the bus if he knew about it. At this time, Baby and Slim were both done with the dope game. They were now running a clean business. Gangsta and the Hot Boys were allegedly Cash Money's muscle. According to Gangsta, when Cash Money would go out on the road to do shows, he would come along with 2 guns and a bulletproof vest. Gangsta even allegedly warned many people not to mess with his brothers or their artists. A 21-year-old Gangsta was very militant. He didn't drink or use drugs like most serial killers. Gangsta always kept a clear head and stayed on his P's and Q's. Around this time, a 17-year-old BG began hanging out with Gangsta in the Magnolia projects. Baby didn't like BG hanging out with Gangsta. He didn't want to risk his artist getting killed or going to jail. Hanging out with Gangsta, BG had the freedom to get as high as he wanted to. Not only could he get high in peace, due to Gangsta being a heroin dealer, BG had easy access to the drug. Gangsta had a house on Valence and Magnolia Street, and his mother was now living in the Magnolia projects. Many people were still accusing Gangsta of killing Randall Watts. He was still a huge target in the streets. The Calia projects continued coming for Gangsta and even shot both his mother and brother. Although many people wanted him dead, Gangsta continued to come outside. Cash Money Records were no longer focused on bounce music. They planned to invest their money and time into the Hot Boys only. The Hot Boys began recording songs for their debut album Get It How You Live. Derek became difficult to work with. He allegedly gave Wayne and BG a hard time in the studio. Even Turk began complaining about Derek's behavior. Derek was really in the streets making a name for himself. He would often test the other young members in the group. Baby and Slim were even getting fed up with their nephew's behavior. Derek began pulling Wayne and Turk out of the studio to run the streets with him. Juvenile and BG were both still spending a lot of time in the studio. One day on the way to the studio, BG and a friend were pulled over by the police. The police found a loaded gun and a few bags of heroin. BG was arrested and charged with possession of a firearm. This was his first time getting in trouble with the law. He was later found guilty and had to serve time in jail. On May 13, 1997, Cash Money Records released Juvenile's Soldier Rag album. It became an instant classic in New Orleans and sold over 200,000 copies independently. Juvenile was not only becoming the biggest artist on Cash Money Records, he was becoming the biggest rapper in the city. BG's It's All On You Volume 1 album was released on July 1st of that year. It debuted at number 17 on the Billboard Heatseekers albums chart and later sold over 200,000 copies independently. It was now time to finish up the Hot Boyz album. Derek was eventually voted out the group by BG, Lil Wayne and Turk. Derek was no longer welcomed at the studio. The 4 remaining members continued recording songs for the album. The Hot Boyz Get It How You Live album was released on October 28, 1997. It peaked at number 37 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums chart and sold over 300,000 copies independently. Just 1 month later, BG It's All On You, Volume 2 album was released and peaked at number 184 on the Billboard 200 chart, number 14 on the Billboard Heatseekers albums chart, and number 20 on the Top R&B Albums chart. It's All On You Volume 2 sold over 200,000 copies. Cash Money Records took over the New Orleans rap scene. Even when No Limit Records was the biggest rap label in the world, Cash Money was still number 1 in New Orleans. Master P and No Limit didn't make bounce music. When bounce music was born, Master P was living in Richmond, California. He started No Limit Records in 1991. In 1995 he signed a distribution deal with Priority Records. By 1997 No Limit Records was the biggest hip-hop record label in the South. In 1998 No Limit took over the whole rap game. That year, they released 23 albums and sold over 20 million records. 1998 was a good year for Cash Money as well. They signed one of the best deals in history. In March of that year Baby and Slim signed a $30 million 3-year distribution deal with Universal Records. Baby and Slim were given a $2 million advance each year, $1.5 million for each of their artists, 85% of profits from album sales, 80% of their publishing royalties and ownership to all masters. Money began pouring in. Baby and Slim get several Diamond Cash Money Records medallions made for them and their artists. The Cash Money Records pendant became one of the best hip-hop pendants in hip-hop history. Baby and Slim's younger brother Gangsta continued running the streets. The feds was always watching the Williams brothers. After Yellow Boy was killed in 1997, Cash Money Records became watched by the feds even more. One day Gangsta decides to rob and kill one of his heroin suppliers from New York City. He began planning the hit with his friends over the phone. Little did he know that his cell phone was tapped. On March 6 of that year, Gangsta was arrested and charged with engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise and solicitation for murder. Baby and Slim provides attorney money for Gangsta, but the evidence was too strong. Gangsta later pleaded guilty to the charges and was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Federal agents tried to get Gangsta to roll on his brother Baby and Cash Money Records for a shorter sentence. At the time they believed that Baby was running a criminal organization. They were aware of his drug dealing history and his reputation in the streets. Since the late 80s Baby been known as one of the biggest drug dealers in uptown New Orleans. Gangsta stood tall and didn't tell the feds anything about Baby or Cash Money Records. BG was supposed to be the first artist to release an album after signing the distribution deal with Universal. Not only was BG on probation, he stayed going to drug rehabs as well. Baby and Slim decided to just put out the Big Timers album first. The Big Timers How You Love That Volume 2 was the first album Cash Money released after getting a distribution deal with Universal Records. It was now time to finish up Juvenile's third solo album 400 Degrees. 400 Degrees was released on November 3, 1998. The album peaked at number 2 on Billboard's Top R&B Hip-Hop Albums music chart and later sold over 7 million copies. Back That Thang Up was the biggest single on the album. It sold over 500,000 copies alone. This was the first time bounce music and twerking were introduced to the rest of the world. Juvenile became one of the biggest rappers in the game. His 400 Degrees album was an instant classic. A lot of No Limit fans were now Cash Money fans. After Master P retired from rapping in '98 to begin his basketball career, No Limit Records began falling apart. In 1999, No Limit in-house producers Beats by the Pound left the label over financial issues. Beats by the Pound gave No Limit the sound that the world fell in love with. Before Beats by the Pound became the label in-house producers, Master P had a more West Coast sound. Many people didn't even know he was from New Orleans until the Ice Cream Man album in 1996. 1999 was No Limit Records' last big run. Cash Money began taking over the radio. On April 20th of that year, BG's fourth studio album Chopper City in the Ghetto was released. It debuted at number 9 on the Billboard 200 and sold over 140,000 copies in its first week. The album was certified platinum that same year. Bling Bling was the album's main single. The song became one of Cash Money Records' biggest hits. Young Turk was featured on the original song, but when it was time to record the radio version, Turk was too high to go to the studio and record his verse. BG was now a platinum-selling artist. He was also most people's favorite rapper on Cash Money. His first 4 albums are considered classics. The future was looking bright for a 19-year-old BG. The only problem was, he was still dealing with a heroin and cocaine addiction. Him and Young Turk became closer due to their habits. Baby and Slim didn't like them getting high and even tried to get them both help. BG and Turk's heroin addiction was becoming a huge problem. The two couldn't work without being high, and sometimes they were too high to even work. They were both now using needles. According to Turk, when he couldn't score any H, he would eject himself with cocaine. BG and Turk were really living like rock stars. In July of that year, the Hot Boys released their second album Guerrilla Warfare. It peaked at number 1 on the top R&B hip-hop albums and sold over 140,000 copies in its first week. Guerrilla Warfare was certified platinum that same year. We On Fire and I Need a Hot Girl were both hit singles that topped the charts. The Hot Boys took over the down south gangster rap scene. There were now hot boys in every ghetto in the country. Young men began getting more tattoos, wearing long white t-shirts and even multiple bandanas. That same year rap superstar Missy Elliott released a single titled Hot Boys, featuring Q-Tip, Eve and Nas. Hot Boys was a smash hit. It broke the record for most weeks at number 1 on the US R&B chart and sold over 1 million copies in only 2 months. This made the Hot Boy rap group even more popular. Although BG and Juvenile were most people's favorite Hot Boy members at the time, Turk and Lil Wayne were both stars now. In November of that same year, Lil Wayne's debut album The Block Is Hot was released and debuted at number 3 on the US Billboard 200 chart. The album went platinum in just 1 month. Lil Wayne, BG and Juvenile were all now huge rap stars. Cash Money ended the year with a bang by releasing Juvenile's 4th studio album The G Code in December of that year. The G Code was another successful album from Cash Money Records. It sold almost 300,000 copies in its first week and was certified platinum the following month. 2000 was another huge year for Cash Money Records. Not only did they film their first movie Baller Blocking, they prepared to go on a worldwide tour with rapper DMX and the Rough Riders. The Cash Money Rough Rider tour was huge. The Big Timers, the Hot Boys, LOX, female rap star Eve, Drag On, Swiss Beats and DMX all go on a 40-date cross-country arena tour. Tickets sold out everywhere they went. DMX was the biggest rapper in the world at the time. He had just released 3 albums that sold over 14 million copies altogether. An up-and-coming rapper from Queens, New York, who went by the name 50 Cent was an opening act. For 2 months, CMR, the Rough Riders and 50 Cent traveled together. The tour grossed over $14 million. It was one of the biggest tours in hip-hop history. In September of that year, the Baller Blockin' movie soundtrack was released, and in November BG's 5th solo album Checkmate was released. Checkmate debuted at number 21 on the Billboard 200 and later sold over 1 million copies. Baller Blocking movie was released straight to video on December 4th of that year. Starring Baby, the Hot Boys, comedian AJ Johnson and TK Kirkland. This was the first and only time a movie was filmed in the Magnolia Projects. Some call the film a classic. On December 19th, Lil Wayne's second album Lights Out was released and peaked at number 16 on the US Billboard 200 chart. The album was later certified gold. Cash Money Records generated over $100 million in only 2 years. Baby and Slim still allegedly underpaid their artists. According to many insiders, after cutting small checks with the artists, Baby kept them cutting by giving them cars, jewelry and pocket money. In the beginning, they all believed that Baby and Slim was doing right by them. – 2001 was a slow year for Cash Money Records. A new Hot Boy album was truly needed at the time. Juvenile's last album G Code went double platinum but didn't match the success of 400 Degrees. Things only got worse when BG left Cash Money over a financial dispute with Baby. BG began feuding with Baby. According to BG, Baby was basically feeding him crumbs. After selling over 5 million records, BG expected more from the label. Instead of signing to another record label, BG decided to start his own label by the name of Chopper City Records. But first, a 20-year-old BG had to sober up. He admitted himself into a drug rehab once again. BG was the heart of Cash Money. Even back then he was looked at as a legendary rapper in the South. Losing him was a major loss for the label. BG's departure from Cash Money broke a lot of hearts. People such as Lil Wayne, Turk and Juvenile quickly began missing their friend. On June 5 of that year, Young Turk's debut album Young and Thugging was released. It debuted at number 9 on the Billboard 200 and number 2 on the top R&B hip-hop albums. The album sold over 82,000 in its first week and was later certified gold. Juvenile left Cash Money Records over contractual disputes shortly before his fifth solo album Project English was released in August of 2001. The album peaked number 2 on the Billboard 200 and was eventually certified platinum. Cash Money now lost their best two artists. It wouldn't be long before Turk part ways with the label as well. In 2002, Juvenile started a record label by the name of UTP Records and immediately forms a rap group by the name of UTP Players. The group originally consisted of Juvenile, Wacko, Skip, Corey C. Tennessee rapper Young Buck and Soulja Slim. Later that year the group released a compilation album titled The Compilation through an independent label by the name of Orpheus Records. Cash Money Records signed several new artists, such as West Coast rapper Mac 10, R&B singer TQ, Chicago rapper Mickey, the duo Boo and Gotti, Philadelphia rap group Major Figures, and a few other up-and-coming artists. Juvenile, BG and Turk's verses on Lil Wayne's song Shine from the Lights Out album were replaced with verses from Mac 10, Mickey and Baby, in the summer of 2001. This was a new Cash Money Records. On April 30, 2002, the Big Timers released their fourth studio album Hood Rich. Hood Rich debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and sold almost 200,000 copies in its first week. Hood Rich became the Big Timers' second platinum album. The first single from the album Still Fly peaked at number 4 on the Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs chart, number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, and earned 2 Grammy nominations. The Big Timers were now the biggest artists on Cash Money Records. Lil Wayne was no longer a huge rap star. That same year he took a shot at former Hot Boy group mate Juvenile by naming his third studio album 500 Degrees. This is when Lil Wayne began changing his rap style. Being around people such as Gilly the Kid made Lil Wayne a better MC. Gilly the Kid allegedly became Cash Money Records' in-house ghostwriter from 2001 to 2004. After the breakup of Major Figures, Gilly planned to be a solo artist on Cash Money, but he ended up only being a ghostwriter for Baby. Gilly the Kid claims he wrote verses for Lil Wayne during this time also. When New Orleans was running the rap game in the late 90s, Lil Wayne was looked at as the hottest young rapper in the game. But in the early 2000s when New York had took over the rap game again, Lil Wayne and many other southern rappers were no longer relevant. 2001 was one of the best years in hip-hop history. At the time, Lil Wayne was only looked at as an average down south rapper. On his 2002 album 500 Degrees, both Lil Wayne lyrics and delivery were above average. He even took shots at his former group members. 500 Degrees peaked at number 6 on the US Billboard 200 chart, number 1 on the US Top R&B Hip Hop Albums chart, and sold over 140,000 copies in its first week. The album was certified gold that same year. Days before Lil Wayne's 500 Degrees album was released, Juvenile released an underground album titled 600 Degrees under his label UTP Records. The project was produced by JT the Bigga Figga. Juvenile dissed Lil Wayne throughout the album. Lil Wayne began releasing mixtapes with his rap group Squad Up. The group was started by him, Super Blanco and his high school friend Young Yo. Squad Up originally consisted of Lil Wayne, Young Yo, Super Blanco, Gutta Gutta, Raw Dizzy, Kid Kid, T Streets, Fee Banks, and Shot Tura all from New Orleans. In 2002, Squad Up released 4 mixtapes. The SQ mixtapes built Squad Up a small fanbase in the South. Baby and Slim's nephew Derek and a few of his friends had started their own record label by the name of Smoked Out Records. From 1999 to 2001, Smoked Out Records released 2 compilation albums. Derek was still knee-deep in the streets at this time. He was allegedly a big-time drug dealer who threw his money around in nightclubs. They called him the number 2 stunner because he drove around in nice new cars and wore expensive jewelry that only rappers and athletes wore. Due to his uncles Baby and Slim, Derek had a good relationship with UGK members Pimp C and Bum B. On October 31, 2002, 21-year-old Derek Williams was shot and killed in the streets of New Orleans. The murder remains unsolved. This hurt Baby and Slim both. Although they kicked Derek out of the Hot Boys rap group and didn't sign him to Cash Money Records, Baby and Slim wanted the best for their nephew. Baby even helped Derek get a distribution deal for Smoked Out Records when him and Lil Wayne were both featured on the song Busting Heads and Getting Paid from the Smoked Out compilation album back in 1999. Derek B.G. Williams, also known as Bulletproof, will always be remembered as the fifth Hot Boy member. Baby was now known as the Birdman. Many people convinced him to be a solo artist. Back in the early 90s, Baby went by the name B32 and released an album titled I Need a Bag of Dope. I Need a Bag of Dope is a bounce classic in New Orleans. Over the years, Baby built a nice fan base of his own. On November 26, 2002, Baby released his second album Birdman. It peaked at number 24 on the Billboard 200 and was certified gold 5 weeks later. In the beginning of 2003, BG signed an independent label deal with Koch for Chopper City Records. On February 25 of that year, BG released his sixth studio album Living Legend. This was BG's first album done without Manny Fresh as the producer, and it was also his first double album. BG worked with other producers such as Clinton Sparks, Beat Doctor, KIDD and other new producers. Living Legend debuted at number 21 on the US Billboard and number 4 on the US Top R&B Hip Hop Album. The album sold over 400,000 copies with no hit single. BG dissed Baby and Lil Wayne a lot on the album. Even in interviews, BG was honest about his relationship with Cash Money Records. Hot Boys' Let 'Em Burn album was released on March 25, 2003. It was recorded from 1998 to 2000. The album didn't feature any new songs from the group. It only sold 64,000 copies in its first week. Lil Wayne was the only Hot Boy member who didn't release a solo album in 2003, but released 4 more SQ mixtapes with Squad Up that year. In April of 2003, Juvenile works out a one-album deal with Cash Money Records. The 28-year-old rapper had huge plans for his label UTP Records and didn't plan to stick around at Cash Money for long this time. That same month, Juvenile's sixth solo album Juve the Great was released as well. Manny Fresh only produced 5 songs on the album, and Lil Wayne or any of the Hot Boys didn't appear on the album at all. Slow Motion featuring Soldier Slim was the album's hit single. Originally a song for Soldier Slim's album but was given to Juvenile. Soldier Slim knew that the song would be much bigger if Juvenile released it under Cash Money Records. Unfortunately, Soldier Slim didn't get to see the song's success. He was shot and killed in November of 2003. Slow Motion held the number 1 position on the Billboard Hot 100 for 2 weeks and sold over 500,000 copies. The single became Cash Money Records' first number 1 hit. Juve the Great was Juvenile's 4th platinum-selling album. It was also Juvenile's last album with Cash Money Records. He began focusing on his label UTP Records. Months later, Juvenile signs a UTP album deal with J Prince at Rap-A-Lot Records. 2004 wasn't looking good for Cash Money Records. Many of the artists either left or were dropped from the label. The Big Timers was the label's only hope at the time, but Baby and Manny Fresh were both in their mid-30s. The label needed young artists to attract the younger audience. Cash Money was no longer looked at as one of the biggest hip-hop record companies in the game. Around this time, 50 Cent and G-Unit Records dominated the rap game. Many believed that Cash Money Records was about to fade away like No Limit. At 21-year-old Lil Wayne was ready to save his record label. After recording 500 Degrees, Baby told Lil Wayne to stop rapping like Jay-Z and be more original. Lil Wayne was a huge Jay-Z fan. The Blueprint was one of his favorite albums. At the time, Jay-Z was looked at as the coolest guy on the planet. Millions of people were obsessed with the smooth Brooklyn MC. 40% of the black population followed Jay-Z. They dressed like him, tried to talk like him, even act like him, and a lot of rappers tried to rap like him. Jay-Z was one of the biggest trendsetters in hip-hop history. Lil Wayne decided to take Baby's advice. He stopped rapping like Jay-Z and began perfecting his own style. After all the writing, all of the recording albums and mixtapes, after working with true MCs such as Juvenile and Mac 10, and after studying hip-hop following MCs such as Jay-Z, Missy Elliott, Wu-Tang Clan and other New York City MCs, Lil Wayne created a new style of rapping that was out of this world. He began releasing underground mixtapes. The Drought 1, the Drought 2 and the Prefix were all considered classic mixtapes. Lil Wayne's fanbase began growing once again. This was around the time he became addicted to codeine and other pharmaceutical drugs. Him and Baby both were now claiming a West Coast blood gang. The Harlem, New York rap group The Diplomats influenced Wayne a lot as well. They were some of the best dressing rappers in the early and mid-2000s. Many people even say that they made a bigger impact with fashion than what they did with music. Dipset made the Bloods very popular in the hip-hop world. At first, the rap game was dominated by Crips. DJ Quick, Suge Knight and Mac 10 were basically the only known Bloods in the game. But that all changed in 2002 when the Diplomats came onto the scene. They made gangbanging look cool. Lil Wayne pretty much followed the wave. He no longer dressed like he was from New Orleans. This was a new and improved Lil Wayne. His confidence was now through the roof. Came knocking at Turk's apartment door to serve a search warrant. After getting no response, the officers entered the apartment. Turk began shooting at the officers. A shootout between Turk and the officers. For years he talked about leaving Cash Money. Him and Lil Wayne even wanted to sign to No Limit Records at one point. After losing both BG and Juvenile, Turk and Lil Wayne became who the label counted on. At the time, number 2 on the US top R&B hip-hop albums chart. The Carter sold over 100,000 copies in its first week. In October of that year, Lil Wayne took over the radio with his hit single Go DJ. Go DJ peaked at number 14 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and 4 on the US Hot R&B hip-hop songs. The single ended up selling over 2 million copies. The Carter was certified platinum. Cash Money Records was now back on top and Lil Wayne was once again a platinum artist. This only made him work even harder. He began releasing more underground mixtapes and featuring on other artists' songs. Lil Wayne became even a bigger star when he was featured on Destiny Child's hit single Soldier, along with Atlanta rapper T.I. in the winter of that year. BG was still keeping himself relevant in the rap game. He continued to diss Lil Wayne and Baby. On July 27, 2004, he released his 7th studio album, Life After Cash Money. The album received good reviews and eventually sold over 300,000 copies. BG always had a loyal fanbase. Killers and hustlers all related to BG. He allegedly had a foot still in the streets. The famous rapper was hanging out in dangerous neighborhoods with no security. Not only was BG loved and respected in New Orleans, he was loved and respected other places as well. Detroit became a second home for BG. He would often go there and stay for long periods of time. BG began talking to other record labels such as G-Unit, Sony and Jive Records. He wanted a multi-million-dollar deal or nothing at all. After his experience with Cash Money Records, BG refused to sign just any contract. After hearing Lil Wayne's song I Miss My Dogs from the Carter album, BG decided to make up with Lil Wayne. The two squashed their beef and even performed together. BG made it clear that his beef is with Baby, not Lil Wayne. Juvenile disappears after the release of the Nolia Clap by UTP in the winter of 2004. He signed a deal with Atlantic Records in 2005 and began working on his 7th album Reality Check. That same year Manny Fresh leaves Cash Money Records for financial reasons. Manny Fresh was a huge part of Cash Money. He gave the label its signature sound. Lil Wayne was on his way out the door around this time as well. He even met with Jay-Z and almost signed to Rockefeller Records. Baby and Slim promised Lil Wayne more money and a label deal for Young Money Entertainment. That made Wayne stay with Cash Money. He continued working on his 5th solo album. His underground mixtapes began heating up the streets. Baby's third album Fast Money was released on June 21 that year. It debuted at number 9 on the Billboard 200. Some call this Baby's best work. Mannie Fresh produced 4 songs on the album before leaving the label. It was now time for Cash Money Records to move in a new direction. In August of 2005, New Orleans, Louisiana was hit by Hurricane Katrina. The deadly hurricane destroyed 80% of the city and caused nearly 2,000 fatalities. It was one of the saddest times in world history. Cash Money Records moved to Miami after Hurricane Katrina. Juvenile moves to Atlanta, Georgia, and BG moves to Detroit. BG had just released his 8th studio album, The Heart of the Streets Volume 1, months prior to Hurricane Katrina. That album sold a few 100,000 copies as well. Miami was now Cash Money's second home. Lil Wayne began dating rap star Trina around this time. Within months, the two were engaged. Trina also dated Baby back in the late 90s, but it wasn't anything serious. Lil Wayne and Trina's relationship would last for almost 2 years. On December 6, 2005, Lil Wayne's 5th studio album The Carter 2 was released and sold 240,000 copies in its first week. This was the first Lil Wayne album with no production by Mannie Fresh. The Carter 2 was certified double platinum and is considered a classic. Lil Wayne was now one of the biggest rappers in the game. Juvenile had signed a deal with Atlantic Records right before Hurricane Katrina. On March 7, 2006, he released his 7th studio album Reality Check. The album peaked number 1 on the US Billboard 200. Rodeo was the album's lead single. It peaked at number 41 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was later certified gold. Reality Check was also certified gold. Together for the first time in years on the album. The album's lead single Move Around featuring Mannie Fresh was a minor hit. The Heart of the Streets Volume 2 is considered one of BG's best albums, and it was also one of the best rap albums in 2006. Lil Wayne didn't release a solo album that year, but was still one of the biggest rappers in the industry. Rap game. Not only did he release another huge classic underground mixtape, he was featured on over 100 songs that year. He was heard on the radio all day every day in 2007. At the time, Atlanta, Georgia rappers were running the rap scene. Crunk music was coming to an end and trap music was about to take over. The biggest rap artists in the game at the time were Jay-Z, Kanye West, Young Chopper. A classic. Those 3 albums kept money on Turk's commissary. 2008 was probably Cash Money Records' biggest year. Lollipop was even the best-selling ringtone and best-selling digital song in the country. It was ranked the number 1 rap song of 2008. The single later won Lil Wayne a Grammy for Best Rap Song. The Carter 3 was certified 8 times platinum in the US, double platinum in Canada, and certified gold in Australia and the United Kingdom. Lil Wayne was now a living legend. the 26-year-old rapper began focusing on his record label Young Money Entertainment. He signed a bunch of artists such as his close friend Mac Main, Gudda Gudda, Lil Twist, Corey Gunz, Jay Mills, Nicki Minaj, Tyga, Canadian rapper Drake, and several other talented artists. Young Money Entertainment was the son of Cash Money Records. At the end of the day, Baby and Slim still called all of the shots. In 2009, Lil Wayne reunites with Hot Boy members BG and Juvenile on BG's 10th and final studio album. Thousand copies. On October 22, 2009, Lil Wayne pleaded guilty to criminal possession of a weapon. Back in 2007, he was arrested in New York City for smoking marijuana. While making the arrest, the police officers discovers a .40 caliber handgun inside of the bag next to Lil Wayne. The gun was registered to his manager. That same day, rap star Ja Rule was arrested in New York City and charged with criminal possession of a weapon as well. The next day Lil Wayne was released on a $70,000 bond. 3 months later, the rapper was arrested again in Boise, Idaho, on felony fugitive charges. Those charges were later dropped. 3 months after that, Lil Wayne was arrested once again when his tour bus was stopped by Border Patrol agents Arizona. The agents recovered almost 2 ounces of ecstasy, 1 ounce of cocaine and 4 ounces of marijuana. Lil Wayne later posted a $10,000 bond. Trouble continued following the young rapper. In December of 2009, Lil Wayne and 11 others were arrested for marijuana at the Falfurrias, Texas Border Patrol checkpoint. This was his third time getting arrested while being out on bond. In March of 2010, Lil Wayne began serving his time on Rikers Island. He had just released his 7th album Rebirth the month before. The album debuted at number 2 on the US Billboard 200 and sold almost 200,000 copies in its first week. Lil Wayne was still the biggest rapper in the game at this time. That same year, he released his 8th studio album From Behind Bars, I Am Not a Human Being. I Am Not a Human Being was later certified double platinum. Many Lil Wayne fans call the album a classic. On November 4, 2010, Lil Wayne was released from jail after serving 8 months. The Carter 4 was highly anticipated. The album was finished back in 2009, but it was re-recorded in the beginning of 2011. On August 29 of that year, the Carter 4 was released and debuted at number 1 on the US Billboard 200. It was later certified 5 times platinum in the US. In August 2009, BG was arrested for possession of a firearm in New Orleans. He was bonded out shortly afterwards. 3 months later, while out on bail, he was arrested once again for possession of a firearm. BG later pled guilty to 2 counts of possession of a firearm and 1 count of conspiracy to obstruct justice. In the summer of 2012, he was sentenced to 14 years in a federal prison. In October of that year, Turk was released from prison after serving 8.5 years. He basically came home to nothing but his family. Cash Money Records didn't reach out to their former artist. Turk immediately began doing shows to make money. In 2013, rapper 2 Chainz reunites 3 of the Hot Boys and Manny Fresh in the Used to video. This was a huge moment in hip-hop. It was the first time in 13 years people seen the Hot Boys and Manny Fresh together. Turk began doing shows with Juvenile, Lil Wayne and Manny Fresh. He tried to make up with Baby and Slim and returned to Cash Money Records. For some reason, Baby didn't want to do business with Turk. Cash Money Records was stronger than ever. Lil Wayne, Drake and Nicki Minaj were 3 of the biggest music artists in the world. From 2010 to 2014, Drake and Nicki Minaj both released 3 multi-platinum albums. In only 4 years, the two sold over 25 million records combined. Lil Wayne began dealing with health issues, possibly due to drinking too much lean. He began having seizures back to back. From 2012 to 2017, Lil Wayne stayed in and out of hospitals. In March of 2013, he was admitted to the intensive care unit in critical condition. The lean was obviously destroying the 31-year-old rapper. That same month, Lil Wayne released his 10th album, I Am Not a Human Being 2. It later sold over 2 million copies. But fans were really waiting on the Carter 5. After the success of the Carter 4 and I'm Not a Human Being 2, tension between Lil Wayne and Baby sparked in 2014 when the Carter 5 album was pushed back by Cash Money Records. Baby made it clear that he was the boss. On December 4 of that year, Lil Wayne expressed his feelings on social media. Lil Wayne began distancing himself from Cash Money. It was clear that he was ready to leave the label. In 2015, he sues Cash Money Records for $51 million. Lil Wayne claimed Cash Money failed to pay him advances and profits from albums, including every album released under Young Money Entertainment. On the Sorry for the Wait 2 mixtape, Lil Wayne dissed Baby and Cash Money on multiple songs. Baby ignored the diss records and still spoke highly of Lil Wayne in every interview. Around this time, Baby was good friends with Atlanta, Georgia rapper Young Thug. The two had just released a platinum hit by the name of Lifestyle in 2014. Young Thug was just becoming a huge rap star. He was also allegedly a high-ranked Blood member in Atlanta. Him and Baby had met around 2013. The two instantly became close. Young Thug even became a member of Baby's rich gang rap group. Baby co-signed the young rapper. Many believe that Baby was trying his best to make Young Thug the next Lil Wayne. Young Thug began trolling Lil Wayne. He attempted to name his commercial mixtape the Carter 6. The name was later changed to the Barter 6. In April of that year, Lil Wayne's tour bus was shot up in Atlanta leaving a show. A guy by the name of Jimmy Carlton Winfrey was charged with the shooting and later sentenced to 10 years in prison. Young Thug and Baby were both named as uncharged co-conspirators in the case. Winfrey had allegedly called the two right before and after the shooting took place. On July 4, 2015, Lil Wayne released his 11th studio album Free Weezy Album. It was released by Young Money Entertainment and Republic Records. This was Lil Wayne's first album that wasn't under Cash Money. That same month, Baby filed a $50 million lawsuit against Jay-Z and Tidal for streaming the Free Weezy album. The lawsuit was later dismissed. It was clear that Baby was being a bully to Lil Wayne. In that same year, Turk filed a lawsuit against Cash Money Records over unpaid royalties. He won the lawsuit by default that same year, but it was settled out of court. Turk began doing more interviews on different platforms, sharing old Cash Money stories, and even became a YouTuber. In 2018, he released a book by the name of The Autothugography of Turk. The book is an autobiography of his life. He's also releasing a documentary about his life by the name of 52 Bullets. In June 2018, Lil Wayne and Cash Money Records reaches a settlement. Universal Records paid Lil Wayne over $10 million and terminated his Cash Money contract. Lil Wayne was now a free man. The Carter 5 was released 2 months later under Young Money Entertainment and Republic Records. The Carter 5 debuted at number 1 on the US Billboard 200 and debuted at number 5 on the UK Albums Chart. The album was later certified double platinum. Lil Wayne was now back on top. Unfortunately, months after the Carter 5 was released, Lil Wayne was arrested in Florida for allegedly transporting a loaded gun on his private jet from California. In the beginning of 2020, Lil Wayne released his 13th studio album Funeral. The album became Lil Wayne's 5th US #1 album. In December of that year, he pleaded guilty to the 2019 weapon charges, but was pardoned the following month by US President Donald Trump. In January of 2022, Baby and Slim's younger brother Terrence Gangsta Williams was released from prison after helping the Fed solve over 40 homicides that him, Sterling, Mosquito and Dooney committed. Baby and Slim took care of Gangsta his whole bit in prison. Although he didn't get anyone incarcerated, Baby was still upset. He started to disown his brother. No snitching is the #1 rule in the streets, and Gangsta broke the rule. Having Gangsta around could have really ruined Cash Money Records' image. After doing a classic interview with Lad TV, Gangsta became a popular YouTuber. He built a nice following by trolling Baby and Cash Money Records. Them and Elton are basically the last two original Hot Boys. Dooney was killed in the Magnolia projects in the early 2000s, and Killa Stone died in prison back in 2013. Elton is still running with Baby to this day. Since the beginning, the original Hot Boys protected Cash Money Records. That made the label very dangerous. Hot Boy Turk never stopped making music. He began working on his 6th album Rich and Thugging. In September of that year, Turk go on one of the biggest platforms in the world and have a bowl with Nori and DJ EFN. Turk is obviously drunk within 30 minutes of the interview. He began sharing old personal stories about himself and Cash Money Records. Turk even talked about Baby kissing him, BG and Lil Wayne when they were younger. Some say that this interview made Baby upset. Juvenile continued releasing albums. In 2013 he signed a solo deal with Rap-A-Lot Records, and on February 18, 2014, he released his 11th and final album The Fundamentals. Juvenile eventually went back to Cash Money Records. Him and Baby remain friends to this day. For almost 3 decades Juvenile blessed the world with good music. After releasing 11 solo albums and selling over 10 million records worldwide, Juvenile is now considered one of the greatest MCs of all time. In 2020, Juvenile started a furniture company by the name of Made by Juvie, and in 2023, he teamed up with Urban South Brewery to release an alcohol beverage by the name of Juvie Juice. Lil Wayne would go on to sell over 200 million records worldwide. He's now one of the world's best-selling music artists. Some call him the father of the new hip-hop generation. Lil Wayne is now working on his 14th solo album The Carter 6. The Carter 6 is one of the most highly anticipated albums of all time. Many believe that this will be one of Lil Wayne's best albums. On September 5, 2023, BG was released from prison after serving over 11 years. Baby picks him up from prison and gives him a few welcome home gifts. BG and Baby worked out their issues a year or two before BG was released. After 22 long years, BG returns to Cash Money Records. Days after being released from prison, BG began recording music. He was featured on a welcome home song called My Dog by Louisiana rapper Boosie. Many fans say that BG's verse on the song brought tears to their eyes. You hear both his pain and happiness in his voice. BG and Boosie became good friends back in 2009 after Boosie pled guilty to his third offense, possession of marijuana charge. While waiting to be sentenced, Boosie was placed on house arrest. BG would come over and record music with Boosie. The two even released an underground mixtape together titled 22504 that year. BG promised Boosie that he'll hold him down while he was incarcerated, and just like a real man, BG stuck to his word. That's why Boosie made sure to return the favor. According to BG, Boosie was one of the only people who showed him support during his 11-plus year bid. Unlike most celebrities, BG didn't do his time in PC. He spent the whole 11-plus years in general population. He allegedly walked around with shanks and asked people to see their paperwork. Paperwork is very important in prison. Not providing it to certain inmates could cause you your life. BG is one of the most respected rappers of all time. His realness is what attracted hip-hop fans to his music. After releasing 10 solo albums and 7 collaboration albums, BG accumulated many loyal fans who supports everything he does. 6 of his solo albums are considered Southern classics, and the Hot Boys' second album Guerrilla Warfare is considered a classic as well. We'll have to wait to see if the Hot Boys reunite or not. Many believe that Lil Wayne is too big of a star to reunite with the Hot Boys. If he do ever reunite with a group, it'll have to be a Young Money project. In September of 2023, Lil Wayne released a song by the name of Birds. Throughout the song, Lil Wayne say that he's too cold to be a hot boy. Pretty much informing the fans that he's not reuniting with the Hot Boys. Lil Wayne doing another Hot Boy album would be like Michael Jackson in his prime doing a Jackson 5 album.
Like, I just felt like, but I lost so much, but I lost down to my whole family, and then a bunch of my partners, and all them niggas to me died to see me be successful, see us be successful. So I ain't felt like, how could I give somebody something that they didn't work hard for?
From New Orleans, uptown New Orleans, the heart of that, like BG say, the heart of the street. And then I want to clear something up too, right? I'm the one that named BG first album, Chopper City. Y'all ain't know nothing about no mother Chopper City. I was living like that. I named that Chopper City. gonna do that another day. But Guerrilla Warfare, I named that shit. All them songs, I'm the one that made these. I used to make niggas come to the studio every day. The studio, I was like military, because I was born in the military. My daddy was in the military, so I played, my mindset was military, so I set my whole project up with them little young military. Studio all day, every day. I give them topics, and that's what we wrote about. All of them can vouch for this.
Well, that was the Hot Boys story. Thank you all for watching. See you next time.
Yes, sir. There it is, y'all. The story of the Hot Boys. Hey, I know I didn't talk a lot. I wanted y'all to get all the information. We can talk about it now, or we can get down in the comments and talk about it. However you want to do it, we can do it. Just let me know. If there's anything else y'all want to see, man, make sure y'all get in here in the comments and let me know. If I don't respond fast enough, spam that comment until I say something back. Just make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Hit up Drugstore Films and see some more of the other content. And make sure y'all just show your boy some love. We're trying to get these numbers up, so let's run it up. Like, once again, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. This was a long one, but it was a good one. It was a lot of information. You know what I'm saying? And long live the Hot Boys, long live Cash Money, long live Southern Hip Hop. You know, I'm trying to find somebody UGK in a minute, because that's one of my other favorite groups. A-Ball and MJG for shit show. Hell yeah. Y'all stay tuned. Anything or anybody y'all want to see, let me know. Anything I can do better, let me know. I take criticism all day, every day. Anyway, I ain't gonna hold y'all. Let's get up out of here. Peace. Make sure y'all watch one of these videos pop up. Make sure y'all subscribe.